Hi everyone. I'm out of town, so that's why I have a different environment around me, but that shouldn't keep us from getting all the the content across. So I hope you don't get confused because there's stuff in the background. But before we get started, first off, welcome. I'm happy everybody's here. Let me know that you can see me, that you can hear me. That we're all right technically before we really dive into the content, because I'm really excited. It's January, it's the new year, and we're gonna make a lot of amazing stuff happen this year. So let's just see. Hi. Okay, I see you say hi from everywhere. I saw Budapest, France, Denmark, Charlotte, Florida, Alabama, Colorado. Hi, Bram. Amazing. So many people here. Canada, Letitia. Okay, perfect. You can see me and you can hear me. Okay, perfect. So I'll give you an overview of how we're going to do this today if this is your first time joining one of those live master classes. So this is part of the boot camp, and I always offer this before we start each boot camp round. We normally have 4 rounds a year. And this is the 3rd year we're going into this. And for me, it's important to give you like a class where we have enough time to go into the pillars, to talk about why we're doing the 5 pillars. This isn't just some random thing I came up with. This is with after working with hundreds of INFJs through coaching, talking to thousands of INFJs throughout the years, through my channel, through the comments, and, changing my entire life and changing it from it being okay on paper, but me feeling like I have no access to it, and then really transforming it. So I'm really excited about every single day. And then through talking to INFJs over and over again and working with them, we actually saw what works for us. Like, what are really the pillars that are going to make the difference in our lives when it comes to getting excited about where we're going, really making changes that are not just, oh, I do them because people expect me to do them, but you actually feel like things are happening. You feel excited, things are moving ahead, and you feel like you're getting into the flow. And for INFJ, sometimes it's difficult to get into this space because of all the energy we can absorb. And so when you take action in certain areas in such a way that doesn't overwhelm you, right? That gets you out of your comfort zone, but doesn't really get you to a place where you feel like, this is not me, then you see the big change. Then you see things really moving forward. You stay on track. And that's why, there's so many INFJs coming back. Like the boot camp is lifetime access. So once you're part of it, you automatically get enrolled into the next live round, and people continue to come up, continue to come again, because it isn't just okay, now I finished it, now I'm done, and I can't use this in my life anymore. At any level that you're at, the 5 pillars and what we're talking about, the entire community that we have here, it helps you to really move forward into the direction you want. And it just continues to bring you back on track, to bring you back to a place where things are working out. Okay, let me just see, because the comments kind of stopped. So I hope we're all still live. You see me well. Give me some signs. Somebody's here from Nigeria, from England. I hope it's all good. Okay. So that's the whole basis of it, right? Okay, from North Carolina. Oh yeah, Mr. Goodrange. Hi, perfect. Okay, you're all there. Thank you so much for your feedback. So this is just to give you an overall thing. So of course, as I said, my goal is to get you encouraged to join bootcamp, because we do see all these results. We see INFJ saying over and over again, my life has completely changed. This is, transformed it. I'm excited. I finally feel like I'm in control. But I don't want you to feel like, okay, we're just going to talk about, oh, join the program and stuff like this. I am the complete advocate for it, and I'm always going to encourage you to do that, because it changed my life. it changed, you know, everybody else's life who's on here. That's why we continue to do this. But I also want to give you some things that you can use today, right? So this is also about the content. We're going to talk about the 5 pillars. I want to answer your questions either about bootcamp altogether or the pillars, the content of it. Because the way bootcamp works, we have learning materials, so video lessons that you can learn at home that are, you know, based on those topics. And then we have live calls, and the live calls are like in this way. So some people were nervous saying, oh, I have to be on camera or stuff like this, but that's not the case. It's like this, but we're a more exclusive group. Everybody there has all the same agenda of really transforming their life as an INFJ to feel like things are finally happening and you really feel the energy. And that's the same thing with the Facebook group, which is non-mandatory. It's, you know, it's a great, another opportunity where you can share, where you can feel like the energy. This is a safe place where everybody just gets together and encourages each other. Okay. Okay, so just as somebody says, we do have a payment plan, right? So if somebody feels like, oh, bootcamp is like, you know, the price tag, you can pay it in 3 parts. So this is just something like, if you've been thinking about it, you know, go ahead. This is definitely an option, and a lot of people use that. Okay, another little thing. If you join within this hour, or if you've joined so far in the last, like, I don't know, a couple of hours that we have officially launched, there are a couple of people who have done this as well. You know, you entered to win 1 coaching session with me. So I've done this, I think, for the last 3 or 4 times. Like I have like this program, and I put everybody's names in, and by Monday I have like a name, and that person has like a free one-on-one coaching session with me. So that's why it's just like one more incentive to join now if you feel you know, motivated. If you say like, now's the time. I mean, like, think about it. We're all nothing. Like, I don't know if you've watched the video where I talked about goals for 2022, and that we're not the typical people to do this, but there's still an energy of like, there's something new that, you know, now is the winter time for most of us, you know, so, you know, it's the time where actually things are happening. So if you already feel that forward motion, that energy that is building up, like, use it, whatever you do, get excited. And we don't want it, as I said, we're not going to, I was just reading a question. We're not going to get to a place where it's just like, oh, get excited. My goal is for you, with every single time we talk, with every single thing we talk about the pillars, that you feel like you need me less, you need the group less. Like, I'm still here, everybody's here, but the point is that you become more and more yourself. We want to work on you finding and establishing that identity that you want to hold on to, that just keeps you moving forward. Because we all know it's like, you know, there are so many things we could do, but it doesn't feel like it's something we should do. It doesn't feel like something that's going to change our life, right? Why go for that career? We know in the end it's still not going to be fun. I still have to pretend I'm somebody else. Why go work out? Like, you know, okay, so I can say I work out. It doesn't really excite me like it might excite some people that I see somewhere. So this is why I, like, you know, I'm such a big advocate, and I want to give you some more insight. So let's dive into the topic. So we have the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars are physical energy management, relationship management, wealth management, vocation, so your purpose, and priority management. And these are really the 5 pillars that have just kind of stuck, right? There are so many things that I've tried and worked through, and in the end, these are the things it always comes down to, and we have to move forward in all of them. And so what I would like to do now is just go through the pillars on like a high level and see what kind of questions you have to give you a little bit more insight on what they're about. And if you have questions that are, you know, about everything, like, do that. If you have something particularly, then just also put a Q in front of it, so it's easier for me to see that it's a question, because, you know, everybody's here saying hi and you're connecting with each other. So I really encourage that. But if you have questions, just let me know so we can go into this. So Pillar one, physical energy management. What is that all about? We as INFJs are very cerebral beings. We're all about what's going on in our mind, in our imagination. And so we very often neglect this part altogether. It feels like also something that is not in our nature, because physical energy management has also a lot to do with SE, so extroverted sensing, which we value, but we don't really tap into it so often, and we don't really feel like we're very strong in it. It's not something we aspire to, and very often we actually surround ourselves with people who are stronger in this aspect so they can pull the weight when it comes to this, and we take part of the whole intuition thing. But the point is, okay, this is a great question. I'll get to this. Well, I'll say this. We do this, but the problem with having this whole thing of, oh, okay, I'm going to be the second best, like I'm going to be the right hand to that person, or I'm going to be, the best friend. I'm going to be the part of the group that has the intuition, that knows where we're going, and they're going to be the ones who actually make things happen in the real world. The problem with this is you will never ever get to a place where you feel like you're really moving at a pace that makes you comfortable, that makes you excited about life. It's always the other person's life. You're always playing the supporting role of somebody else's movie. No matter how much access you have to that person, there's no way another person can know what your energy is all about, who you are, where you want to go, who you want to be in your life, in the world. There is nobody but you. Like, there is no other INFJ who knows this. There is no, I'm not the one. You're the one who knows yourself best. And so we have to accept that we have to use the sense, like the extroverted sensing that we have, the power that we do have, the physical strength that we do have to our access, as small as it may seem in comparison to other people, we have to optimize that. Because in the end, if we want our intuition to be manifested into the real world, we're the only ones who can make it happen, because we're the only ones who really understand what's going on. And what you realize is that you're not lacking in this or lagging or whatever it is, because maybe some other people or other types have like a stronger drive, like of really doing, 1,500 tasks altogether. But therefore, you know what you want. You understand, how things are developing. Your intuition is very strong and you can hold on to it. So I always say, we as INFJs, we don't have to do all the things. We just have to do the right things. So if we work on, and you will see this throughout the other pillars, if we define more and more who we want to be, how we want our life to be, and then we also optimize the physical strength that we have, because it's going to take physical strength to actually, get out of that hamster wheel, get out of the matrix, get stuff done. You see that you can find a great balance where you're moving forward. You actually feel like you have more strength because you're not consistently trying to use all your strength to survive. You're actually using it to thrive. And therefore, although you push forward and you do something that might seem like, okay, so I have to just take on this weight of carrying my own life, in the end, it will be easier. And in the end, it will be like, oh, okay, I'm creating this flow. This is amazing. This feels exciting. And I always said, the biggest revelation for me wasn't after, I had quit my job and, changed my life altogether and things were happening in this big fancy way. And no, it was the first day. It was I really recognized, okay, I'm changing something. I'm taking charge and I'm deciding today, from now on, I'm going to be the person who fights for her life. And that is something nobody could take away from me. This is the thing that, we teach here. And because it's a mindset thing that has to be anchored in, right? It's hard. You hear this, you get excited, you're like, yeah. And then, life happens and everything is out of the window. Right? We don't want this. We want to anchor it as much as we can. And the point is, the more steps you actually take in your life, things that are, as I like to call them, externally observable facts. So it's not just, oh, I'm doing research, I'm working on myself. No, it's I actually put in those applications. I actually wrote 4 chapters for my book. I sent, I self-published my book. I created a YouTube video. All of these things are externally observable facts. And the way also, your relationships manifest, and we'll get to this a little bit later, you'll see this gives you anchors that make you into the person you want to be. It's so much easier when you have your entire environment mirroring back the person you want to be. It in the beginning, it's hard because you define and you redefine who you want to be. And then you step out into a world that you have created so far. And so far, that's maybe not the world you want you want it to be. People see you in a way that you don't want them to look at you or to see you. And so you first have to change that entire dynamic, that entire approach. And, in the beginning, it will take some energy. That's why this pillar is so important. Let me just look at a couple of, if I missed something, I saw we have a super chat. Paul says, just thanks for the knowledge. Thank you so much. Okay, before we get a little bit deeper. So why is it the 5 pillars, why are these applicable only to INFJs? What's so special about it? The point is that you will see this when we go into the pillars. You could say, okay, physical energy management, I should care about my health, right? I mean, everybody says this, but the point is that's not going to be the thing that's going to motivate most INFJs. Just saying something like, it's good to be fit, it's good to be healthy. But if we know that in order to go towards our dreams, we actually need to increase our energy as much as possible so we can make these things happen, so we can use the capacity that we do have, it gives us a different push. And if you look into the things like physical energy management, that's all about, not just the typical things like sleep. We talk about sleep so much because so many INFJs, they suffer from insomnia or whatever it is. We're really making sure that we hone into this, that we look at what is this all about, how does this work, how can we increase our energy. And that's also about decluttering, believe it or not. It's about visualizing, so we use our energy towards the right things, and it doesn't get lost in other people's problems and so on. It is about working out, or as I said, nutrition, sleep, and you don't have to do all of it. So these are just a couple of examples when it comes to physical energy management. Why is that, all the just for INFJs? First off, as I said, it's the motivational thing. It's not just I should do this. It's it all makes sense. And then you'll see, we need all of these things. Some types, for example, can be great without the purpose part. They can say, all I want is to feel healthy, I want to have good relationships, and I want to have money, and I want to show it off, or whatever it is. You'll see this with sensors way more. It's not going to motivate us. For us, it's important to look at priority management, which is the last one, because as I said, we can't do all the things. We're not the kind of people who take on millions of tasks. For us, it's important to find the right priorities, to prioritize, the important stuff over the urgent stuff. There's so many aspects to it. If you haven't done this so far, download the poster, and then you see all the under topics of the different pillars. So let me see, before we go into relationship management, what kind of questions you have towards pillar 1. Let me see if I have something. So I think you all are getting what this is all about. So let me know if you have. I'll give you yeah. So Christy says, yeah, but we feel exponentially better if we do all the energy things, management things, go to bed early, exercise, better nutrition, etc. Yeah, and you'll see for INFJs, it will make a huge difference, because let's say an ESTP. An ESTP has like so much energy to begin with. Their whole problem is, or their challenge is, let me focus on the right things. They have like 10 times more energy than, let's say, me when it comes to physical stuff. Like, I've worked with ESTPs, I've had ESTPs in my life. I'm doing one thing, they have done like 1,500 things, right? But for us, we don't have that excess energy that we just throw out. Like, we have excess intuition. We sometimes go way too deep into other people's minds when this shouldn't be our business. We shouldn't be thinking about how other people are feeling because, let's be honest, very often this leads us to neglecting ourselves. So we all have like a capacity when it comes to our first function, for example, that is more than what we necessarily need. So we just got to find like some kind of balance in order to use it when it's like appropriate, when it makes sense, and use it deliberately, and rather, push a little bit on those other things that will just create a balance. Like, a little bit more energy, put a little bit more into it. Like for me, when I started this channel, for example, I first wrote the book. I said, like, I need to share this message. Like, I couldn't see the INFJ community at this time particularly was all about, this was, I think, 2014, was all about poor me. Nobody understands me. I'm a martyr. And it was like so hurtful to me because I felt that pain. I knew I experienced this pain so much, and that this was actually self-sabotage in so many ways. And in order to get out of this, I needed to put extra energy into it. For example, like for me, it was like Sundays, and I knew 4 hours on Sundays, I'm always putting towards this. It took a lot of strength. It took a lot of strength to actually get out of a system that I have, built over and over again for so long. Like there's this example I continue to give because it's like always true. Like if you have a cornfield and your entire life you've been going down this one path, and now you say, but that's not the path, that's my path. That's the path that just happened because of, my environment. I actually want to be here. You first have to gather as much energy as you can in order to create that path. Because once that path is flattened, once you've gone it once, or, it's flat and you have a flow, and it actually flows towards thriving. It flows to a place where your energy just keeps on, overflowing, because you don't have things that are holding you down. You're anchoring in the life and the person you want to be. And so you continue to have more and more energy. And so that's why, like this pillar is so, so important for INFJs. Okay, let's just see. Okay, here's just somebody said, I just signed up for bootcamp now. How I enter the one-on-one coaching. We have a list of everybody who joined bootcamp until what is it? The countdown says the 35 minutes left. And so we're going to have, I'm not familiar how the word is called, but we have like a random machine thing. We put the names in there and it just pops up one. And so that's the person who wins the one-on-one coaching. And we just get in contact with you. And then you can just book a session with me. You can get access to my calendar and book the free session. That's how it works. But great that you've already signed up. You love bootcamp. You love the community we have there. It'll be amazing. And we start next week. Okay, somebody says, I didn't know you do lives. Great. Yeah, I only do lives when we do bootcamp. So this is 4 times a year. Here, this is, I think, a great question we can get into when we talk about relationship management. Hopefully, let me see, because this one is also good. Yeah, I'll go back to the other one. I'll have it. So INFJ says, do you always approach physical energy management and wealth management through SE, or do we have to use SE at first and then we can access it through NI flow state? So it's a combination of all. So the pillars really work all together. You need to have energy, but you also need to push forward. So in the beginning, you start with the energy that you do have, and you say, the energy that I have right now, what am I able to do in the wealth management department? So let's say you say, I want to have a bigger salary, therefore I need to apply for like a better job. Right now, I don't have the energy to do all of this, but right now I do have the energy to say once a week I'm doing, I'm looking through all the offers, and once a month I'm sending out an application. Maybe when you're, better at your physical energy management, you can send out 5 applications and all of that, right? We're always looking at what we can do at this moment. And for us INFJs, it's very important to not judge ourselves how much we can do, to not look at it, like, why even try? I can do so little. Like when I started to get out of this, let's call it hamster wheel, the life that has been created, and I, stepped out of the box and start doing my thing, I really motivated myself with like small things like, wow, you were able to take a shower now. Wow, you were able to go and get this done. Of course, it wasn't difficult for me to do all of these things on a Monday when I was supposed to be at work. But to do this for something that nobody's going to hold me accountable for, nobody cares if I go after my dreams, that takes a little bit of, like you need to push yourself. You need to have that energy. And so it's a continuous thing. In the beginning, it was very hard, and you have your intuition, you have your sight, and you keep pushing. But you do this with the knowledge that, like, even if you never had more energy in your life, like, even if you're never going to have more energy than you have now, you're going to do this. Because even if it's just a little bit of step forward, it's a necessary step for you to be happy with yourself, right? So I haven't given up on myself. But you'll experience rather quickly that with time, going into the direction that actually is where you want to be, you have more energy, and then it's like an exponential curve that works for, wealth management, that goes for everything. Like if you say, like, I want to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody in relationship management, that's the same thing. Because you'll see like, it's never about the time we have. We all could have some kind of time, like, could always think about, okay, how many hours a day or a week do I have that I'm not actively like working in a job? That's not the point. It's a weight thing. It's about like, I think it was Brandon who said it like last boot camp, and I just like took this on of, it's about how much weight you can carry. Doing something that is out of your comfort zone is heavy. It doesn't matter if you have 15 hours of time, right? It's about like, okay, that's another task I have to take on. It's something uncomfortable. It is heavy to have an uncomfortable conversation with a family member that needs to happen because that continuously, depletes you. It takes, it's heavy to say, I'm going to step out and I'm going to dare to get a better job, or I'm going to dare to go after my purpose and publish that book, or, publish that song, or whatever it is, right? So let's go to pillar 2. Let me see if I have here. So what happens when the people that are meant to help are holding you back? I suppose you mean the people that you're trying to help, or the people that are meant to help you. Like in both cases, those are not the people to focus on. Like we have to learn, as INFJs in particular, stop helping people who are not actively thanking you for what you're doing, who don't know that you're doing something. How often have we had friendships or relationships where we felt like, okay, I'm actually saving that person. Without me, they would just collapse. That person doesn't acknowledge that. Maybe they're not even aware of it. And we have to be honest with ourselves that we very often do this because this gives our life meaning. And we also feel guilty if we let that person go. When in the end, the only person who can really help is oneself. That doesn't mean you can't encourage people. That doesn't mean that you can't help people up. but that person has to be the driving force. And the best way to help others is to stop enabling them and to say, I'm going to be an example of how much I value life, of how much I value my life. And if that is your friend and they see that you're doing this, they're going to choose themselves as well. That's the best thing you can do for them. Again, like that doesn't mean you have to, let people fall and, into big holes, but think about it, how often we are willing to stay at the bare minimum of, I can keep my head above water. Now I need to help others, right? It feels like if I don't do this, I'm a bad person. But that comes from a lot of codependency things that we have learned. That comes from a place of, if I'm not focused on helping them, then I don't deserve to be loved. I'm not good enough to be loved. Like, how can I be loved, accepted, appreciated for me choosing me? For me being like, putting myself first and who I want to be. And that is a mindset shift. And that's something we learn in Pillar 2, like in all cases, because it isn't just about, oh, I want harmony and I want to get along. It's about creating new dynamics or having relationships that you have had all your life, maybe with family members or something, and just changing things. Like, you show up as the new version of yourself, who you want to be. It's a process, right? I mean, it's not something we can go, very into detail today, because it's like, work relationships, it's family, it's intimate relationships, it's friendships. Like, all of these things need to be addressed and step after step, because again, it takes energy. But once you create like new dynamics, these new dynamics will keep you accountable to the person you want to be, right? A lot of things change here. So that's the whole thing. Like, if people who are meant to help you hold you back, let them go. If people who are meant to help, like who you're meant to, like who you mean to help, are holding you back, which is very often the case for INFJs, understand that we're overextending our role in their life. And it's not because, they need us necessarily. It's also not necessarily because we're just such good people and we just want to help and we see what's wrong with them. Yeah, we see what's wrong with them because we're focused more on what's going on in their life. We're focused more on their problems than, first off, they're focused on themselves. But more importantly, we're rather focusing on other people than to focus on ourselves. Because if we would focus on ourselves, we would actually see, if I look around and I'm not in my intuition, I'm not in my fantasy world, I actually look out at my real life, like the externally observable facts, I don't like my life. Like, I think it's boring. I think like I've just settled. I don't appreciate like what's going on. And the most importantly, I don't see that there's a trajectory that is leading me towards the life I want. We have to be more concerned with the trajectory of our life than the current result. I was at that place. And like admitting that to myself, looking myself, like, being confronted with that was very, very, painful. And it was eye-opening. And it was like, the catapult for everything. And so, but this very often doesn't happen if we're so focused on, oh, my friend needs my help, or there's this person I like, and, I just need to help them understand themselves, to value themselves more, right? You have to make sure you're at a great place where you are giving out of what you're overflowing, and not that you're giving and making yourself small in order to help others. And this is something we've been conditioned all our life. There's nothing to be ashamed of here, but no matter why it happened or, who's responsible for it, now we're adults and we have to take care of it. No matter like, why this happened or, that it wasn't our fault. So let me see. Okay, if I don't see like another cue, I'm just going to go over. Okay, does anybody have any questions towards relationship management? I'm just afraid I'll miss something here, but glad people are saying that this helps. Perfect. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay, 3, wealth management. So this is probably the pillar I personally took on the last. That was one where I think it was 2018 where I like committed myself to really nailing this, because for the longest time I didn't want to look at this. It wasn't that I had any financial problems. It was all like okay, but I didn't want to have anything to do with money. I didn't want to have anything to do with wealth, because it felt like I don't want to be like those people who want money in order to impress people who I don't care about. And like, you see people, oh, my new car and all of that. And it's like so not an INFJ thing. It's not what excites us. And so this whole topic was like, ugh. But the point is that we still have like money and wealth as part of our life. If you ever felt like, oh, am I going to be able to pay my rent? If you ever had the thought of, oh, I wish I could go on that vacation, but I can't. If you ever had this thought of, okay, I really hate my job, but I need that money. You are concerning yourself with, wealth management. And it comes from a place of, not being in control of it. And for the longest time, that was like, me. I had, as I said, I was a consultant in banking. I was making really good money before that, but I was spending it. I had no, I had no connection to it. And then I learned that it doesn't have to be that you have to be this, this image of a money hungry person in order to care about wealth management. Wealth is freedom. Wealth is energy. And we have to get to a place where we can first off talk about money just like as if we're talking about, pass the salt, right? We are the ones who give it energy. We are the ones who give it negative energy. And then on top of that, guess what? It gives you the freedom to say, I'm not going to work for that person anymore. It gives you the freedom to say, if I want to experience life on my terms and I don't want to work so much, that's that's something that will help me to have wealth. It just gives you so many options. And very often you'll see that it's not about working hard. You see people who are working way less than you and feel like they have all this freedom and they allow it to themselves because it's really it's really more of a mindset thing. And so like the point here, and this is like very important for INFJs in order to, confront this shame that comes with, I'm an empath, I'm all about spirituality, I'm like all of that, to see, you can use wealth for whatever you want. You can use it to help causes that are important to you. You can use it to fuel your vocation. Like for me, I was making really good money as a consultant and I used that money to put it into my channel. Like at that time I wasn't making any money, 2014 when I was always building this up, but it was my way of giving back. It was the thing that made me feel more complete. I wanted to live the life that I want. And wealth helped me to get people who could edit my videos because I didn't have the time because I was working too much at my old job at that time, right? All of these things. It allowed me to donate to places. It allowed me to, experience free time and have like adventures that were important to me. And like we as INFJs have to get to a place where the shame just goes away, right? There is no such thing. You don't have to be like, I have to live like a millionaire. It has to be, let's remove this whole thing of being afraid of, am I going to be able to pay something that you don't feel like it controls you? Like, I can't quit that job, and all of these things. And that's a lot of it starts with, really actually setting goals, tracking like what's already coming in, like creating a new relationship with this whole topic. Because once you get to a place where it feels like, yeah, wealth and money is my friend and it's all good and it's like spirituality, there is no such bad thing, because You know, like I don't have to associate wealth and money with greedy, selfish people. I can actually have role models who mirror back to me like how you can live in a way where you're full of abundance, you help others. It's like a win-win for everybody. You're happy, you're healthy. And a lot of the aspects that we talk about, and you see this in, you know, if you look at the pillars, make a huge difference. Like it really comes down to mindset. So if you set goals, if you set like, you know, I write down actually everything that comes in, I start to, you know, make connections. You're an INFJ. You have a great intuition. You are great at pattern recognition. And this entire topic, very often we just ignore. But if you allow yourself to tap into it without judgment, you in the beginning, you know, allow yourself, you know, those judgments to come in, you work through them, you recognize that there doesn't have to be like, you know, they don't have to be any judgments here. I can just look at it naturally. I can set a goal. I can decide in order to have this kind of life, to feel comfortable in the place I live, you know, I need to get like that better job, or to see that what I'm good at, I'm actually being valued for, instead of trying to do something that is not in alignment with who I want to be. And yeah, things just get easier, and you see that there's no you know, it doesn't have to be like this big huge thing. You see that there are patterns, right? You are a pattern recognizing machine. In this area you can be one too, right? So you recognize, oh, I just need to do this step and then I'm going to be able to have more income, right? And it, again, like you can see so often with other people, oh, I know Jenny and Paul, they're going to have that conversation and it's going to lead to this. And, you know, same thing can go with, oh, okay, if I apply myself for this position and I know that I'm really good at, you know, winning new clients because people see that I understand them, I value them, I can use the strength of mine to create a win-win situation for, you know, my new boss and for me, and therefore I'm going to be able to have like a bigger salary, do things that are more in alignment with what I'm good at and what I love. And so it's like an easy thing. And we're talking about like when, you know, when we have time in boot camp, when we talk about this and we have the live call on this, how to do it specifically, what steps to take. And it's always like an up, you know, an up level of how to get there. But most importantly, allow yourself to confront this instead of thinking like, oh, I'm a spiritual being, I'm an empath, I don't care about these things. You don't have to care about them. If you want to live in the woods in a small cabin and you can provide for yourself, you have won if this is like the life you want to live. Are you living that life though? Or are you living a life where you say, I don't care about money, but then you say, oh, but I would like to do this, but I can't afford it. I don't like my job, but I can't afford to like quit it and do something else. I don't like the fact that my apartment, like, you know, is doesn't have this and this or whatever it is. Or I would love to be able to live in nature and not work so much. Can you do this right now? And if the answer is no, then let's just look at this, like, you know, in boot camp or outside of boot camp. Don't be a victim to that whole narrative of, oh, I don't want to be part of these greedy people. You don't have to be. It's not like everybody who has wealth, who's creating wealth, is one of them. You know, you can be like, even if it was that you say, oh, I don't have one good role model, be the new role model. Show how you can live in integrity, show how you can live in alignment with everything that is important to you, and can do like the things that are, you know, that really move you forward without having like some kind of, you know, shameful connection to it that doesn't have to be the way you don't even want it to be. Yeah, January says, honestly, we're so strong. We are. Like, you know, we as INFJs are so strong, but because we're so strong, what happens most of the time? We actually feel like, oh, let me burden myself more so I don't like, you know, do something that looks better than what everybody else is doing. Because then people are going to feel uncomfortable and I feel responsible for it. We have to get back, like we have to step out of this place of I'm surviving, I'm the martyr, I'm stronger, so I'm going to save everybody, but I'm going to just sorely survive. Like that's what gives me my self-confidence or who I am. Like it works. Like it's not like it doesn't work or anything, but we can do better than that. Like it feels even better if you thrive and you inspire people instead of like, oh, I'm enabling that person to not confront their own self-sabotage by, keeping myself small. Because if I get big, if I put myself first, then they're going to feel bad. These are some things that are very important. Yeah, we're advocates for happiness. Let me see. Okay. Okay, let's just go to the next one so we can go through all of them. Okay, so pillar 4 is vocation. Vocation as in your purpose. And we talked about this like a little bit before, that other types, they don't really care about this all the time. Like it's not necessarily something that they actively want. At some point, everybody wants, self-actualization. This also from Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? The first needs everybody has is survival, shelter, food. Then it's like social inclusion. Then it's like, I don't know. Like I don't know all of them, but I know the highest one is self-actualization, bringing yourself out. For us INFJs, as people who are very intuitive, as people who are very future oriented, this thing will pop up as one of the first ones. And I've worked with INFJs also like in one-on-one when we've seen this in bootcamp, where they said, okay, I have just so much going on. I have things that I consider a problem that I need to fix. I'm going to leave this till later. But you see very quickly when we start applying ourselves in the other pillars that you get to a place where you feel like, oh, the trajectory of my relationships is actually good. The trajectory of my wealth management is going in the direction that I want, and my physical energy is getting better. Then there's actually room. Like you've decluttered so much mess around you that you feel like, oh, now it's like, this thing pops up that actually has been in me all the time. And that's like, I want to be seen for who I am. I want to, share my gift with the world. And that's the way you are. Like, it doesn't have to be your business. It doesn't have to be that you write a book, or that you become a YouTuber, or that you help people through being an empath. Like it can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's the way how you live your life. And when it comes to this, we always talk about like two things. Like the first one is how you want to serve. Like what is the thing that sometimes has even like gotten you in trouble, where you said, I have sacrificed my soul to help that person in that place, or to share this one gift. And I've done this like to a place where it wasn't healthy for me. That's how much I wanted this. For me, it was helping other people see how they were in their own way. Like similarly to what I was doing here. But I did this while sacrificing myself. I thought I had to like make myself small and just give myself up in order to make that person comfortable. So that's why like one thing we talk about is like, how do you want to serve? We talk about it, how to get this out, how to tap into it. But the second one, and this is also a very, very INFJ thing that we have to like push through so much. And that's also something I don't see like when other people talk about like purpose, is how do you want to be seen? Because we have to look into, and that's what we do then, we talk about archetypes, we talk about like role models, maybe on like even movie roles, parts, like everything that we see in certain people. Let's say you see like this superhero in a movie, and for some reason there's a connection. You feel like, oh, that's like, that really excites me. That was something that excited me as a kid. And there's just some kind of energy that just always touches me. Remember, the way you see that person says, like that movie character says more about you than the movie character. I will see something completely different in that movie character. So it's about you. You are projecting something onto that movie character that you have inside of you. And we have to find and define that and redefine that and, like, just continue to do this to such a place where you say, yes, I want to help people, or yes, I want to share my music, or whatever it is, but I'm not going to sacrifice the way I want to be seen, the way I am. And for me, that meant being strong, being somebody who's, I was, for example, a super fan of Wonder Woman or Khaleesi, or, and like they're also the archetype of the priestess really works for me. We talk about like different areas to tap into this. And so I saw that time when I lost myself. Yeah, I wanted to help that person, but I gave up that part of me. I didn't want to look like the person who was really strong, because I thought, okay, if I show up like this and they're like suffering so much and they feel weak, how are they going to love me? How are they going to accept me if I'm like, stronger than that person? And, you get to a discrepancy, and that's when you're willing to give yourself up. So if you once define, no matter what, how I want to show up, but like, how I want to help, but there's a part of me that I'm not going to sacrifice. There's a part of me that's going to, like, that's how I want to be seen. And if you want to, have the benefit of the gift that I bring, and we all have benefits that we bring to the world just the way we are, then you have to accept me the way I am. And for example, let's say I go out and I see myself as somebody who's strong and who, knows what she wants and goes for it. And there's somebody who sees me as completely weak and whatever it is. Guess what? We're not going to vibe. There's not going to be a relationship, even if it's a person that you work with. We sort of like make things happen. Everybody works for what it's all about. But your life views are so different that there is no correlation there. But if you are not like, haven't defined this and haven't held on to this, you're going to slip up in this. I've done this. We as INFJs can do this very easily because we want to help, because we want to share whatever it is. And, when it comes to vocation, we always want to find the sweet spot of, how you want to be seen and how you want to help. And that's the place where you start thriving. That's the place where really magic happens. And you see how you continue to, to grow and to get all of this done. Yeah. So here Saul says, INFJs must have a strong foundation. Yeah, that's why we built this, like foundation, or how I call it, anchors. We continuously build those anchors into the life and into the person we want to be. And we can, like, you'll be amazed what INFJs are capable of doing. It's so often, but Tisha says vocation seems to be the easiest. For a lot of people, it's not. For a lot of people, it's like, I know this is what I wouldn't want to do, but I'm not really tapping into it because there's fear of judgment. There is, again, like, we haven't really defined this boundary that we have to set for ourselves, where I say I'm going to be strict with myself of what I'm going to accept and what I'm not. Okay, like I'm losing track here, so please please forgive me. Yeah, so here, like, so much fear of judgment. Guys, we can practice this. Like, what's the thing? Like, there's fear of judgment, right? So the thing we talk about in bootcamp a lot is, what's a step that you can take that is going to get you out of your comfort zone, but isn't going to overwhelm you? I'm going to give you the example of creating a YouTube channel. You feel like, okay, if I would go out and I would share my message, people would look at me and think I'm completely weird. I'm like a total wacko. They will think who do I think I am? Like, all of these things. Remember, those are things that on some level we are afraid of, right? If, for example, some person would tell you, or would tell me in this example, why do you not have blonde hair? Or why don't you wear a red shirt? I don't care about not wearing, like, you know, like, I don't care that I don't wear a red shirt. I don't like, I don't want to have blonde hair at this moment. Like, that's why, right? But if somebody really would say something that actually touches something that you fear yourself, for example, oh, you're selfish. You're you're just coming up with stuff that nobody cares about. Like, these are real fears that we carry within ourselves, and they're there because of everything that has built up in our life, right? And so there might be this person who thinks, why is she not wearing a red shirt? I'm not thinking about that person. That person is going to exist there one way or another. I'm going to focus on that one person that says, oh, you're selfish, or like whatever it is that I'm still going through. So the point is to say, I'm going to step by step confront my fear of judgment. And I'm going to do it in such a way that I, take on as much as I can carry at this moment. I'm going to sit with it until it goes away. I'm going to face it. I'm going to say, yeah, although this feels uncomfortable, I can just face it. I can sit with it. I can take it, and until, like, at some point it like goes away. Very often we just like, we're afraid of doing something. But let's say somebody really shames you, right? There's like somebody who makes you feel uncomfortable. It's like this feeling that is horrible that happens to you. And we've all experienced this. All of us have experienced something shameful. But guess what? Most of the time it gets better. Like, it isn't as bad as the moment that person says something to you, right? And so what am I saying with this? In the example of the YouTube channel, the first thing is just create the channel. You don't even have to make it publicly. I can guarantee you just doing this will evoke a feeling of shame and of judgment and of fear. And you sit with this. You sit with this, you just create the channel, nothing has really happened there. You do this until this feeling is gone. What scares you today isn't going to scare you tomorrow. Once this is done, you just record a video. You don't have to show it to anybody. You don't have to publish it. Just record it. I can guarantee you this is going to make you cringe. This is going to make, if you are like somebody who's afraid of the judgment, because those feelings are already coming up, but they're coming up in such a way that, as again, you can still handle it. It gets you out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't overwhelm you. And only you know what that step is. For some, it might be recording a video. For others, it's just creating the channel. The next step, for example, would be uploading and keeping it on unlisted. There is no, now this is the right step, or that's how far you should go. It's about just pushing yourself and confronting these fears. Because the more you do this in a way where you can handle the anxiety, it's okay, you're the one who says how the pace is, those things fall away. It is something that we carry in ourselves. At some point, like when I first started, trust me, I was so afraid of, okay, everybody who knows me is going to like completely think I'm not cool. I'm totally esoteric. And that's exactly how I felt at that moment. Like all the people that I thought are going to judge me, they did judge me. It's not like that didn't happen, because guess what? I chose those people because they reflected my worldview. And my worldview was, the way I am is not correct. If I would do it, people would judge me. Like, that's just weird and unlovable and uncool. So of course I surround myself with people like this. But I did it in such a way where I said, yeah, people are going to think I'm an idiot. People are going to think like whatever it is, it's going to suck, and I'm going to do it anyway because I know that's just how I am, and I'd rather be, disloved for who I am than to be loved and appreciated for who I'm not. And now I don't know, like I can't even grasp those feelings. So trust me, there is a way out. All of it, right? It just has to be yeah, I will get over it, definitely. Like, but take it on. Don't like just say, oh, it's like, it's like this big mountain. Yeah, let's just take a little step. There is no step that's like too small. And you're the only one who knows like what that step is. Step by step, I'm just learning too. Great. Okay, then let's go to priority management. See, we're already over the time. Like, I'll just give you a little bit of a couple of minutes because I have to run, unfortunately. People are expecting me. But priority management is also very important for INFJs because, again, we don't have all of that energy, right? And like things are going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy to have that uncomfortable conversation with your friend. It's going to be heavy to start. I'm going to face those fears of judgment, right? Look at it from that perspective. And so, priority management, we really talk about how to continuously look at your life and look at the steps that you're taking and to say, how can I prioritize the things that are important and not urgent, right? The things that are important and urgent, like for example, paying your rent or going to work or whatever it is, that's rather easy. We also know the things that are not important, not urgent, like, watching TV, for example. But the things that are making the difference is going to be, am I, when a friend says, let's go out and so on, and we've actually gone out a couple of times, am I going to prioritize that? Or am I going to prioritize, let's say, watching TV? Or am I going to prioritize doing laundry now? Or am I going to say the things that are going to make a difference in my life? Which is, for example, writing a chapter in my book, confronting my fears and actually having an externally observable fact. I'm going to prioritize that because I'm going to do laundry anyway. I'm not going to go to work on Monday with like dirty clothes. So even if it's 8 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to do laundry. But if I do laundry all day, guess what? At 8 o'clock in the evening, you're not going to confront those fears of yours, right? These are one of the things that we talk about in priority management. But it's also about understanding. It's not about willpower. It's not about having discipline. It's about just becoming the person you want to be. And, just continuously confronting this thing. So let me just see. Elizabeth has here a super chat. Thanks for this. It can be a hard road with the pattern recognition. Our gift is that we can see stuff in advance, though that no one believes us. See, I can totally understand this, Elizabeth. I am the same way, or I used to be. Now, you know what I do? I just make it happen. I knew the way I'm doing this, living my life, creating this channel, making this my income, making more money than before, being able to, have this life with my family and all of that. My dad didn't believe, he was mirroring back my biggest fears. Oh, is this really going to work? And so on. Yeah, let people not believe. Let your actions, show the results. Because we very often as INFJs think, but, it's enough that I just know it could work. The truth is, it's not. It's not enough. It's not going to make you feel excited. It's not going to make you feel like your life is moving forward because we have all these ideas, but as long as they stay in our mind and we don't really manifest them, you're not going to get new information that's going to help you get to the next level. If you actually put your ideas and make them happen, you put yourself in a new situation. And in that new situation, you will have new ideas to grow even further. And that's where the momentum happens in life. That's when you get really, really excited and life just becomes this amazing adventure. And that's why I push this so much because I'm actually excited about life. And I didn't used to be like this at all. And I see this with people that I work with one-on-one. I see this in boot camp. I see this over and over again, just people writing me that even the videos have made such a big impact. And so I know this isn't I might inspire you. I might push you towards the things, but in the end, you're making those changes. You're changing your life. You're taking those steps, and we can all do this. And I know you can if you, say, I'm ready, I really want to push this. I'm let's make this happen. Join bootcamp. It's going to be an amazing experience. We start on Saturday, be same time as today, but it's unlisted. So, it'll be a much more exclusive group where everybody is really focused on that pillar where, you have that, all that learning material and the Facebook group, if this is something you're open to. And if you have any questions, write us at info@wenzes.com. And by Monday, I will have written the winner of the one-on-one coaching session. And the link to the bootcamp round for everybody who's online will be published on Friday, and you get an email from me and all of that. So yeah, we're all here for you. I wish you all an amazing week. I wish you all an amazing start into the new year, and everybody who's joining the bootcamp, I see you next Saturday.